Here we go. All right. Woo.
Good evening and welcome to Full On Football, the show that promotes all branches of the round ball game played in South Australia. I'm Nat Adamopoulos, and what a week it has been in world football. The ads on TV might say that history's against us, but Australia has created history this week by successfully making it through to the round of 16 in the World Cup competition, and aren't we just waiting to see what happens next? It's been a week of controversy regarding referees, where they're showing more red than you'll see at a bullfighting rink in Barcelona. But someone that won't be seeing red anymore, because of course he announced his retirement last week, is our good friend Michael Brooks. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Nat. How are you?
I'm very good. What about yourself?
Yeah, a bit tired, staying up late nights and early mornings.
Definitely
Trying to
sleepless
catch up on
in
sleep.
Adelaide, isn't it, at the moment?
Well, I've got holidays, I can assure you.
And isn't it exciting what's happened with Australia?
Yeah, it's tremendous for our code here in Australia, and one that we're very proud of, the Socceroos.
They've done very well.
Okay, coming up on tonight's show, we will talk everything that is the World Cup. We've got Adelaide United news and information to pass on to you. Heroes of the Socceroos. We've got amateurs Craig Castellino and Luke Rowley from St Peter's Old Collegians coming in to talk amateurs. We've got Wendy Carter for the Women's League. We've got Nat's traditional bits and pieces. And a man that's here to digest all of that and a bit more is none other than a player who's been had 10 seasons in the National League, nearly 250 games, played for Adelaide City, Marconi, and now is the current co-vice captain of Adelaide United, Angelo Costanzo. Ange, welcome to Full On Football.
How are you, Brooksy? How are you, Nat? Good to be here.
Thank you for coming along.
Anytime.
Nat, how have you, Ange, how have you enjoyed the break off from training for the World Cup?
Yeah, that's been good, but like you said, the sleepless nights, they haven't been good, but it's good just to watch the football that's on TV.
And back into pre-season training on Monday?
Yeah, back onto it, and it's very hard back into the running, so probably better off having the break and watching the football.
Now, we all know Adelaide United's fine achievements from last season. What, in your opinion, Ange, does the club need in order to take that next step to maybe get to the grand final and then, of course, win it?
Well, not too much, like you saw last year, we're not far away from it, just probably a few players coming in, a few will let go at the end of the year, and hopefully probably a bit more pace on the wing backs and the wings, so we're looking at Stan Laz already, so if he comes in, he's got the World Cup experience, he'll be great, and maybe Johnny Aloisi, who knows, but Cozzy was over in Germany, might have a few surprises too, coming back with him.
And just on a personal basis, you turned 30 last month. Clubs have their own little, like 2 or 3 year plans that they look at. Do you yourself set yourself a plan that where you want to be or what you want to do within the next couple of years?
Oh, just basically year to year, I'm just looking forward to this year having a good year and then building on from that, there's Socceroo games coming up for Aussie-based players, so that's probably one of my goals, looking at getting into that squad and playing in the Asian qualifiers.
And Ange, back, I thought towards the end of last season, I think Cozzy moved you back into the defence. Yeah. Personally, I think you look a lot more settled when you play in the back lines. Yeah. Where do you prefer to play? You like the back lines, or would you prefer to be in the midfield?
It doesn't bother me, wherever suits the team, basically. I started off as a sweeper and playing in that centre midfield role is like a sweeping role in front, but I feel comfortable playing in the back four at the back, especially with Michael Valkanis, who's a great player, and playing alongside him, we had a good understanding and it worked well there for a while as well.
Good stuff. We'll stay with us, Ange. We'll take a short break here on Full On Football. When we get back, we'll talk World Cup Groups A and B. You're watching Full On Football.
Bianco Building Supplies have been providing quality goods and specialised services to the building industry since 1977. Their staff pride themselves in providing total quality customer service. Whether you require machinery, building supplies, drainage, structural reinforcing steel or hiring of portable on-site buildings, Bianco's friendly and dedicated staff are only too happy to meet your requirements. And if it's safety products you're after, Bianco Safety have an extensive range to choose from. Their safety van can come direct to you, fit out and supply all your safety needs for your work site. Visit www.bianco.com.au to have a look at their fantastic range of products. Bianco, #1 for all your building and safety supplies.
Welcome back to Full On Football. It's now time to turn our attentions to the World Cup, and we'll start off with Group A. The results for the 21st of June were Ecuador 0, Germany 3. Big win to the Germans, and Costa Rica 1, Poland 2. And Ange, Germany just kept on their merry way in the last group game stages, didn't they?
Yeah, just through the whole group. I think they just cruised along. They were very attacking. They probably played the best soccer or best football out of the whole team. You know, they just went out attacking. Especially the first game against Costa Rica, the 4-2 result, that was a fantastic game, especially opening game of the World Cup, and just put it out there on the shop window from the start.
And hasn't Closer been doing well?
Yeah.
He's just burning, absolutely.
And Podolski, he started off slowly, but it's just come into his own as the tournament is progressing further and further. And they got a good strike partnership between them.
Yeah, they're working well. We will talk about the game that we just saw from the round of 16 later on, but he's also one of the young players that's eligible to make an impact on the World Cup to win that award from the Gillette Award. So
interesting to note, Ange, that both Closer and Podolski, both Polish born.
Yeah, they were. So
and now naturalised German.
So there's a few.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
And
they're playing in the same group. So
exactly. Yeah, very interesting. And Nat, can we have a look at the table there, the Group A standings after all games completed?
Yeah, finally we had Germany way out on top, winning all 3 of their games on 9 points with 8 goals, 4-2 against, and Ecuador doing better than they did in the last World Cup. They only made it to the group stage. They've gone through to round 16, and they did quite well, get on 6 points, winning 2 of their games. Poland basically underachieving this World Cup. We would have thought they would have come out a little bit better. Unfortunately, with only 3 points, in Costa Rica not doing, although they had some good games, but not being able to get any wins.
Just not quite up to the international standard where they Costa Rica, and Poland again disappointing in a major tournament.
yeah, you probably at the start of the group, you probably would have picked maybe Poland to go through that group. So they probably did underachieve. And Costa Rica, most of their players play in Costa Rica and played against Sydney FC in the Confederations Championship a few months ago. So yeah, they were probably just underdone.
I think Ecuador there was a surprise package. I don't think anyone would have thought that they would have done as well as they did. But
didn't really know a lot about them before the tournament started, but once the tournament kicked off, they certainly got into gear. Okay, we'll have a look at Group B, please, Nat.
Yeah, sure. The last 2 games since our last show, we had Sweden took on England. That was a 2-2 draw. I didn't think much of that game either. Again, England not doing not to what I would have expected anyway. And Paraguay defeating Trinidad and Tobago 2-0. So, you know, Trinidad and Tobago have been doing quite well, playing some really good football. But obviously, Paraguay was way too strong for them in that game.
England, Ange, they've just gone back to the traditional long ball stuff for my liking, and to me, I don't think they're one of the genuine threats to take out the World Cup, even though they've progressed to the round of 16. Yeah,
they have gone back to that type of football, but it's probably a game that suits them a lot. You know, but saying that, the players they've got in the midfield, Gerrard, Lampard and Joe Cole, they're all players that like to play, so they're bypassing them. In that, there was a great goal too by Joe Cole, the long volley.
Yes.
In that 2-2 result, and then a few scrappy goals from Sweden too. The English backline struggled a little bit too, defensively.
And Ange, a player that you would have come into combat with over the A-League season, Dwight York, I thought he was probably one of the standout players in this Group B fixtures for Trinidad and Tobago. I thought he was outstanding.
Oh, for sure. He's a world-class player, and he showed that during the A-League, and then he was over. He went off, as soon as the season finished, he went off and trained with Manchester United too for a while, and you could tell he's by far their best player, and they struggled a little bit. Most of their players just playing this first or second division in England, and that showed in the end that they just weren't up to scratch. And you never know, he might bring a few players out with him to Sydney FC. So we'll just have to wait and see.
It'd be nice at the end of the A-League season, Ange, to be able to call up Sir Alex Ferguson and go, can I come out for a training?
Just come out for a few weeks and just see how I'm going.
Have a kick. Ange, can you go through the final standings for Group B, please?
Well, England out on top there with 7 points. Sweden had 5 points. Paraguay third with 3 points, and Trinidad and Tobago, they got 1 point there as well, so they scraped through with a point.
So Nat, probably no surprises with England and Sweden qualifying from that group, as we picked earlier on in the before the World Cup started. Yeah,
you've done well with your predictions, Michael. Sweden, I think, very undisciplined behaviour in their games in their last couple of games. I'm very disappointed at that level of football. Very undisciplined.
It probably goes for a few teams right across the board now. I think there's been 23 red cards.
23, exactly.
Look, there's probably been some bad refereeing decisions amongst those 23, no doubt. But I definitely think that some of the discipline of the players, Ange, in this World Cup, I think a lot has been left to be desired. Just simple things of, not giving the ball back when they've clamped down on it from the beginning, and still players two weeks into the tournament are still doing the same thing and getting punished for it.
Sometimes they think they're bigger than the law, that the rules don't have to change. And we saw that also with Josip Simonic from Croatia against Australia. He just went off his tree at the end of the game, so that's probably not the discipline. And even Harry Kewell too, after the Brazil game, he went off and was lucky to get away with it. So.
Very, very lucky.
Okay, we'll take a short break here on Full On Football. When we come back, we'll talk Groups C and D. You're watching Full On Football. Port Road Sports Store. If it's football gear you want, come into Port Road Sports Store, your football specialist store. Official outlet for all Adelaide United merchandise. Stocking football brands like Umbro, Mida, Lotto, Kelme and Roosh. Come in and see their extensive range of sporting goods and equipment. Port Road Sports Store, 142 Port Road, Hindmarsh, proudly supporting football since 1982.
Welcome back to Full On Football. It's time now to look at Group C and D of the World Cup competition, and let's go straight into the match results. We had the Netherlands took on Argentina in a 0-0 draw there, and I was expecting a little bit more there from the Netherlands as well. Unfortunately, they weren't able to score against Argentina. Very, very tough match. And Ivory Coast getting over the top of Serbia and Montenegro 3-2.
I think Serbia and Montenegro were 2-0 up in that match as well, so good that the Ivory Coast came back to get the 3-2. Yeah, the Argentina and Holland, Ange, I thought they were definitely the two standout teams in the group, and consequently both finishing and qualifying for the group of 16.
Yeah, that's for sure. They both rested a few players during that game, so probably. But watching the game, there was a lot of chances to be scored, and they didn't. And so, but Ivory Coast, they've got some great players too, and with a bit of luck, they probably could have qualified too in that group. So they'll be in the next World Cup. They'll be around the place too. You got Drogba and Touré that both play in the Premier League, and a few others. So they'll be looking for a good future.
Well, that was their World Cup debut this year, so they did rather well. They played some really exciting football during those 3 matches.
Got a lot to build on, haven't they? Now?
They have. They certainly have, and I think all credit to them. They did very well.
And Serbia and Montenegro, I think they were very disappointing for me. I think Montenegro have put in for to split from Serbia and have their own sort of country, but.
They struggled together, imagine when they both split up. So.
Yeah, it was just, I expected a lot more for them and was very disappointed that I didn't get to see the old Yugoslav style of play come out in this
squad. They've got some quality players too playing in the team.
Yes,
they've got Kezman and Milosevic, so that's two great strikers playing in the Spanish league. So I did expect a lot more from them as well.
I think their game against Argentina, where they got walloped 6-0, really did a lot of damage to them. So it's very hard to get back from that.
Goal of the tournament in that game.
There's been a few since, hasn't there?
I don't know.
There has been a few since then.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go through the final standings in Group C. Argentina played 3, won 1 and drawn 1 to finish on 7 points, as did the Netherlands, Holland. It was just the goal difference that separated them, and Argentina's comfortable victory against Serbia and Montenegro in order them to finish on top. The Ivory Coast finished in 3rd position with 3 points, and unfortunately Serbia and Montenegro had no points. Okay, we'll have a look at Group D, and Iran drew with Angola 1-1, and Portugal defeated Mexico 2-1. So Portugal, Ange, I think they were probably the standout team, but geez, I like some of the play that the Mexicans had to offer as well.
Yeah, no, Portugal with their star-studded lineup as well, very good. But even Mexico, they played some great football, and we saw last night as well that they matched it too, but unfortunately went down, and they got Marquez and a few other good players playing, and they played some very good football. And they were probably the main two from that group to go through, so there was no more surprises from that group either.
No, and Angola and Nat, another one like Ivory Coast that are probably only going to grow with the experience that they've had for being in this World Cup.
Well, I'll tell you what, their captain, Aqua, is being sought by many people. In actual fact, was very interested about coming over to Australia.
Oh, well, maybe there might be a phone call made from one of the A-League clubs his way.
There may just be, because they had an interview with him a couple of nights ago, and he's very interested, and there's lots of people that are showing interest in him.
Okay, Ange, would you like to give us the final standings for Group D, please?
Yeah, Portugal was way out in front with 9 points, then Mexico on 4, Angola on 2, and Iran with their single point.
And Nat, can you see Portugal going all the way? After making the final of Euro 2004 against Greece, beating finalists there, can they at least go one better, do you think?
Someone asked me this the other day. I don't think they can, actually. I think they'll probably make it to possibly the quarterfinals, but I think they'll find it quite tough after that.
Good stuff. Okay, we'll take a short break here on Full On Football. When we come back, we'll talk Group E and F.
When you're dehydrated, your blood starts to thicken, making it harder for your heart to pump. Powerade is now isotonic, providing fast hydration and energy, proven to help you perform at your peak 10% longer. So whatever you've got your mind set on, Powerade Isotonic can help your body get there.
Welcome back to Full On Football. We'll now talk Groups E and F of the World Cup. And first off, Group E, Czech Republic 0 were defeated by Italy 2, Czech Republic 0 were defeated by Italy 2, and Ghana 2 defeated the USA 1. And Ange, I suppose no surprises there that Italy finished top of the group.
Yeah, that wasn't a surprise, but the Ghana getting through was a big surprise. You know, Czech Republic, after their first game against the USA, you would have thought they would have cruised through the group, but then they had a loss to Ghana, and losing Italy, they had a player sent off before half-time, and that was the end of it.
I know one player doesn't necessarily make a team or a tournament, but I thought once Kohler went down for the Czech Republic, I just sensed that the hopes of the Czech Republican people, their hopes went down with him. Yeah,
for sure. He's a big focal point for him. He's a target man, and then Milan Baros come in, but he just wasn't fit, and it just didn't look right, and it showed, and then he got taken off, and then that was the end, you know. And good of Ghana, you know, you've got an African team in the last 16, which is good.
And SDN, of course, is performing beautifully.
And Nat, I wanted to ask you, the USA coach, who were the Socceroos? They're just to make up the numbers, and where did the USA finish?
Mr. Arena.
Yeah, Mr. Arena.
Mr. Arena, yeah.
Right,
more like he should be with Tina Arena, I think, singing.
He got carried away with the world rankings, you know, they were
Didn't
5th
he?
or 6th.
See, I could never understand that.
Rankings,
Well, I said that on our first show. I could not understand that they were 5th, you know. I just could not understand that ranking. But obviously, I mean, if they're playing the matches and they're winning them, well, good luck to them.
The Czechs were 2nd and Netherlands were 3rd, and seeing what happened
and you wouldn't rank them really in that same sort of quality, would you?
That's right.
South Korea was in the top 10 as well.
Yeah,
close.
exactly.
I think, as I mentioned last week, I think it was Nat, that I think it's to do with how many games they play and against quality or against the opposition that they play. So someone like Australia maybe plays Papua New Guinea and only gets 10 points for the win, against you know, Mexico's and America that are playing each other and getting 50 points for a win. So
I'd like to see where Australia ends up now after the World Cup. Surely
it's going to be interesting to see how far Australia do go up the charts. Okay, having a look at the final standings for Group E, Italy finished on top with 7 points, Ghana finished 2nd with 6, Czech Republic with 3, and Mr. Arena's solitary country finished with 1 pitiful point. So good luck to you, Mr.
Sing
Arena.
the anthem now, mate.
And now we move on to the big group, and that's Group F. And Nat, would you like to go through those results for us, please?
I'll be most proud to go through those results. The unbelievable match that we saw the other night with Croatia and Australia drawing 2. My heart was in my mouth for most of that game, but more so that when I saw the opening minute and I saw Kalic in goals, and I thought, oh my God, what has he done? Why on earth has he chosen this guy? And as the game progressed, we saw a lot of blunders going on there. I mean, we don't want to pick on one player, but
yes, we do.
I have to say,
we do want to pick on one player.
Looking back at the footage and watching Schwartz on the bench, sitting there, and you could almost hear what he was thinking to himself. I got this team through to the World Cup, and this guy single-handedly is going to get us out.
I reckon Schwartz was thinking what everyone in the nation at that time was watching and thinking, and probably yelling at the television themselves. That's what
And in the
Schwartz was
crowd,
thinking.
did you see in the crowd?
I felt
when
so
he made
sorry for
mistakes?
Schwartz. I mean, we discussed the goalkeeping tussle for a number of weeks leading up to the World Cup, and our full conclusion, Ange, was that Schwartz was the best man for the job, and I'm with Nat. When I seen Callets lining up there, I thought, what the heck is going on here?
He was very vocal leading up, Callets, and saying that he should be number one.
Wasn't he?
Well, he had his chance and he probably blew it. Hennig was saying that Schwartz is back in for the next game, so probably rightly so as well. You know,
Thank God.
I was very surprised too when and he nearly threw it away from us,
He
like he
did.
just said. You
He
know,
did.
And it wasn't just the save. There was one where he nearly dropped it on the goal line, so Joski had to jump on him, and then
It was just
coming
his
out
whole-
for a cross,
yeah, it
and then a
was-
throw down the middle. Just
Exactly,
he
it
looked
was
erratic.
his whole positioning of it. You'd look at it and you think, oh my gosh, Schwarzer can do like so much better than this. He's just not positioning himself properly. He's not stretching up. He's not stretching out. He's not diving. It was like, oh, it was a nightmare, absolute nightmare.
I think
But
one
Harry
of his
Kuehl,
concerns was that Schwartz is probably not as good coming off his line as Callets was, and I heard that in the interview. That's why he did play him. Because you saw with the first goal against Japan, maybe there was a little free kick there, but I think Schwarzer didn't come out like he should have. And
He probably should have pummeled the whole,
yeah,
the
all
defenders,
four that were
the
there,
attackers,
should have taken
everyone, taking them
That's-
all out.
As a young goalkeeper, that's what they get taught. They just come
Exactly.
out, and whoever's
That's
there,
right.
if it's your own play, you got to take them out as well.
But,
so.
but that was an honest mistake of Schwartz's in that game. I mean, this here, especially that
Yeah, but
save
that
of
could have
Callets,
cost the
that
World
is
Cup as well.
schoolboy stuff. That is
Yeah.
schoolboy stuff. He's not a good catcher of the ball. He doesn't actually secure that ball. He just paddles it away or belts it away. He doesn't actually catch the ball like Schwarzer does.
But being harsh, if we're going to be harsh on Callets, as Ange rightly said, we've got to be harsh on Schwarzer and say that for that cross against Japan, he should have came out and flattened the four people in front of him and punched the ball away. He didn't. A little bit timid. Okay, it was a foul, but he still should have cleaned everyone up before.
But he wasn't balanced either, if you look at that
Well, it's
properly.
his
as
job to
well.
be
way he
balanced,
come
though.
out,
Yeah,
didn't come
he
out.
wasn't
It's his job to be
balanced.
balanced. Anyway, leading into that last Group F match, Japan had a chance to make the final 16 if they'd beaten Brazil by 3 clear goals. Unfortunately for them, they went down 4-1. And I tell you, the amazing thing I've seen in a game of soccer is a player getting 3 yellow cards and only being red carded after the 3rd yellow card. Was that absolutely amazing? Have you ever experienced that in your time in the game?
No,
Because I haven't.
I didn't realise that he got one in the first half, but he did. But then it was just all over the shop, and he went and argued after the game, and then he did give him the red card, but it was a bit too late. But the result was already done by then. But I think just the whole refereeing for that game was pretty poor.
We must say the referee, Graham Poll from England, he was probably touted as one of the referees that was more likely to get perhaps a final or a 3rd and 4th playoff, but I think now he's probably just quietly sitting with his bags packed in the hotel waiting for the tap on
I'll
the
tell you
side.
what, he can join 2 or 3 others along the way
Yes,
too,
he's
because
not
it's
alone.
not just him. I'll tell you,
he's
it's
not alone,
unbelievable.
that's for
So
sure.
if we have a look at the final standings for Group F, and this is beautiful reading, Ange.
Yeah, it is. Brazil first on 9 points, and then second on 4 points.
Woohoo!
Australia going through to the second round, which is the first time ever. So
Ripper.
fantastic. Croatia on 2, and Japan just on a sultry point at the bottom of the group.
And quite rightly so, I thought Australia making through to the next round was all that they deserved to get and a little bit more. Now.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Absolutely, definitely. They've played well. They've gone out there like real warriors. Nothing to lose, everything to win, and as I say, that's the real good Aussie spirit, And the best thing that I like about this is that a lot of countries have actually stood up and taken note of Australia. We're not, the down under. We're actually over the top now. That's what I say.
And one of the things that has stood out, Ange, is the fact that the hard program that Hiddink had given the players before the World Cup started seems to be coming to the fore now, because they're just running basically over the top of their opponents towards the end of the game.
They are, and we saw that against Japan in the first game. They just steamrolled them in that last. Everyone thought they were gone and out, and then 85th minute, bang, Cahill, Aloisi was fantastic. Yeah, saying that when they were in Melbourne, I spoke to one of the strength and conditioning, Anthony Curry, and he said that they're just going to give them a good working over, which they did, and they weren't too interested in the results, but the results went their way. They had a good result against Greece, and then had a good result against the Netherlands, which was probably a lucky one for them. And then the Liechtenstein, then leading up to the World Cup, they've been fantastic.
Okay, we'll take a break here on Full On Football. When we get back, we'll talk the final 2 groups, G and H. You're watching Full On Football.
Do you want to be a part of Full On Football? We are always looking for businesses and organisations to join us in bringing all the local football news to our viewers. So if you'd like to assist us with financial sponsorship or provide goods or services for our competitions and special segments, contact us on 0421 507 948 or send us an email to adamna@optusnet.com.au. We'd love to have you on board. Welcome back to Full On Football. We're now going to turn our attention to Group G and H, the last two groups of the World Cup competition, and we'll look straight at the match results of Group G, where we had Togo take on France, and France ended up the winners there 2-0, and Switzerland getting over the Korean Republic 2-0.
Yeah, very interesting group, this one, Ange. I mean, basically, besides Togo, the other three teams, any one of them could have qualified, and you know, luckily for Switzerland and France, they were the two that got up in the end, but it was a very even group, apart from probably Togo at the bottom. Yeah, it was, very, and France were probably the best team in the group, and then you got Switzerland and Korea, who played off in the last game, and whoever won that game would have gone through, and France scoring their first goal for about 4 or 5 games in the World Cup against the Korean Republic early, and they got a good result there, the Koreans, but in the end they were probably the best two sides from the group to go through, and Korea probably, who knows now, they're probably going to look to rebuild. They brought in the new coach after Hidik, and he probably hasn't done what they expected to do after the good result in Korea. We made mention, Ange, a couple of shows ago that we wondered whether or not Korea went with Advocate being a Dutch coach and maybe trying to carry on the philosophies that Hiddink did after he left after the last World Cup, getting Korea to the semi-final. Probably a little bit too much expectations on Korea in this World Cup though, wasn't there? Yeah, for sure. You got to remember too, Hiddink had them for a whole 6 months in camp too before the last World Cup, and it was their home World Cup, and you always tend to perform a lot better in front of your home crowd. And as we could see with Germany, no one gave them a chance at the start, even in front of the home crowd. They're producing the goods at the moment. So, yeah, who knows where to with Korea, if they're going to go down that Dutch way again or look for something different.
And Thierry Henry, very quiet first couple of matches, is now just starting to come good?
Look, for me, Ange, I think Thierry Henry's been one of the disappointments. I know he scored in the last game, but it was against Togo. And I made mention last week, Ange, that in the English Premier League, yeah, fine, he's on fire, but come up against the quality defenders in world football, and I think he's... I wouldn't use the average terminology, Nat, but I don't think he's the world class that I think everyone believes he is in the Premier League. Well, like you just said, in the Premier League he is a standout by far, but then again, in Europe he scores a few goals, and he does stand out a little bit, but not as much as he should. But at the world level, for his country, he hasn't produced. You know, we saw in the last World Cup where nothing happened to the whole team, basically. And even at this World Cup, like Brooksy said, he hasn't he's scored a couple of goals, but he's not doing much. And Vieira's the one probably keeping him in the World Cup at the moment. He's doing well from getting forward and scoring a few goals, and he's a quality player. He's gone back to Italy now to reinvent himself and test himself again, so that's maybe 2 for Henry, 2 maybe to Barcelona like he was touted. Okay, Nat, would you like to go through the final standings for Group G, please? Yeah, sure. We saw Switzerland out on top on 7 points, France on 5, Korean Republic on 4, and Togo not being able to get any points there, but all well and good for them. Look, I think it was their debut. They were out there. They didn't disgrace themselves. They had, moments of good football. So I think they take that back now and have to regroup and plan for the next World Cup what they're going to do, and obviously look at the players that they've got in the team. And their supporters were tremendous as well, weren't they? With the body paint and the colours and everything. They were added something different to the World Cup. And they sure did. A lot of colour. They had a bit of a dispute there with the Federation over match payments, so maybe that affected them a little bit, but who knows. So it's just good for them to get in. You wouldn't have thought, Ange, going into your first World Cup that you'd be in dispute with match payment. You'd think you'd just be happy to be playing. Well, they get about 7 or 9 million to qualify, so you'd think the Togo Federation would have looked after the players. Done the right thing, So in the end, the FIFA had to step in and tip in the piggyback a little bit for them. Okay, we'll move on to Group H, and after last week's shellacking of Ukraine, we can now report that they've finally pulled their finger out and got on with the job, and they bounced back with a 4-0 thumping of Saudi Arabia. Spain beat Tunisia 3-1. The Ukraine then beat Tunisia 1-0, and Spain got over Saudi Arabia 1-0. So I did give Ukraine a bit of a bagging last week, but I am happy to say that it was very pleasing to see a Shevchenko-led side finally pull their finger out and get their acting together.
I'll tell you what, you and me both gave them a bagging, but you have to look at the three-pronged attack they've got up front there of the three Andrews, Andrei Shevchenko, Andrei Voroby and Andrei Voronin. Fantastic, all three of them,
How
mate.
do you say that?
Andrei Shevchenko, Andrei Voroby and Andrei Voronin. And I'll have to say something, the first words of the Ukrainian national anthem is Ще не вмерла Україна, and that means Ukraine has not died, and they are far from dead here. I think they've got a good case. We're going to look at this shortly, but I think they've got a good chance to go into the quarterfinals, I would imagine.
Well, after
I think
Spain,
they can make semi-finals.
yeah, probably. After Spain beating Ukraine, that group opened up for Tunisia, Saudi Arabia to qualify, but unfortunately none of them took the chance, and Ukraine come back with a big 4-0 result against Saudi Arabia and then beat Tunisia, so
And
goes through.
that 4-0 win, that was the sort of style of football that I'm used to seeing them play, and what's got them to where they were there, and it was great to see that. I thought also, I think the guy's name, he played midfield, Grevna or somebody, number 9, his number
Is he
what?
Andre too?
No, he's not actually, but there's a lot of Andres.
And a lucky penalty too against Tunisia.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yes.
You
Well, they
gotta
all
take
say
the
that
luck,
he
yeah.
dived, but I don't know.
But what an imposing figure, and look, he's one of my favourite players, world football. But
Mine
what an
too.
imposing figure when I'm watching the teams line up in the tunnel, and I look at Shevchenko and go, geez, what a man to lead your team. He is like, he'd be an imposing figure. If you're playing against him, Ange, as a defender, you look at him and go, geez, I'm in for one hell of a day today.
Well,
For sure, anytime he touches the ball, he just looks like scoring. And I'd like to see what he does this year at Chelsea, how many goals. He could probably break the record for the most goals in the season there.
Well, I'll go so far as to say that if Henry's breaking records in the Premier League,
Yeah.
Shevchenko will smash him.
Yeah.
I hope Chelsea does,
wouldn't
that move to Chelsea is good for him, but you're talking
It's
about...
good for his bank account.
Yeah, well, it is that way. I mean, for his football.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a name, Shevchenko, in the Ukrainian history. Shevchenko was the greatest poet ever.
Poet.
Poet, fantastic, beautiful poems that he wrote. He's very famous, and mate, this guy is just taking it a step further.
You're going to tell us, Nat, that he was the founder of the world's best circus or something?
No circuses in
Don't all the
Ukraine,
circus
mate.
come out of
No. Hey, what you talking about? No, what you talking about, Willis? No, this guy, Andrei Shevchenko is a wonder to watch, and I just enjoy it so much. The last 2 games were
And Brooksy,
brilliant.
do you see Spain as going all the way? Do you think they could go all the way after underachieving for so many years?
Look, I was fortunate enough to play against 4 or 5 of these players when they came out for the Olympics, a pre-Olympic tournament for the state team. And those players now around 28 years, 29 years of age, and look, they've got the goods to, I think, to maybe not go all the way, but at least go to the semi-finals. And I'd be disappointed if they didn't get to the semis. I'm not sure of who they've got along the way to meet, but it wouldn't surprise me if a semi-final berth beckoned for Spain.
They've been playing some great football.
They have.
You'd like to see the teams that play good football follow through to the next rounds, but unfortunately it doesn't happen that way sometimes.
No, not all the time, but hopefully they've got a bit of luck to go with it. We'll have a look at the final standings there in Group H, and we see that Spain did finish out on top with 9 points, quite comfortable after thrashing Ukraine in the opening game. Ukraine finished second on 6, Tunisia on 1, and Saudi Arabia also on 1. And Nat, if we could go straight, I think, to the round of 16, and we see some interesting results there.
Yeah, sure. We, of course, we had these nations that made it through. Germany faced Sweden's, and Germany were the winners there, 2-0. This is where I say that Sweden was very undisciplined in this game. Very disappointing. They could have taken it to Germany, but obviously, you know, Germany just turned on the magic and closer, as we were talking about the two closer and. Podolski or whatever his name is. Podolski. Yeah, no, they did absolutely 2-pronged attack. Fantastic working in unison there.
They were phenomenal early on, Ange, and then Sweden had Antic, I think it was, sent off, and then Henrik Larsson missed a penalty to put him back into the game at 2-1, and anything could have happened in the last 20 minutes. But I think Germany did enough earlier on when the game was up for the taking. They did enough to.
Well, they got those 2 goals early on. And they just split Sweden's defence apart there with those few free balls, and he got through, and Podolski, as we said, scored a couple, which was good to see him to get on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, and I think he's got 3 for the tournament, and Close has got 4. So
Yes.
good partnership there. The next game was Argentina 2, Mexico 1. This was after extra time, and I think this was probably, I reckon this was probably the goal of the game. Given the circumstances, extra time, I can't quite remember the player's name, but
Rodriguez?
Yes, Rodriguez.
Maxi.
And
What a
chested it down, and then with
but
a left foot volley.
where the ball came from. It was just like 3 quick motions. The ball came right across the field. He brought it down and then just banged it straight into the goal. It was absolute brilliance. It was so quick. It was just unreal.
the goalie probably got caught out a little bit, because I don't think he expected to come. The way he chested it away from goals and just turned and volleyed it. But saying that, they probably should have had a goal in the end of normal time too. Messi, they gave offside, which probably wasn't. So.
And Mexico were probably a little unlucky, because I thought they had a couple of chances to maybe win the game as well. But I think missing Borghetti, I don't think that helped Mexico's chances.
Well, this game here, by far, for me, has been the best game so far. It was just absolutely fast-paced, brilliant football.
Yeah, probably deserved a bit better than just a round of 16 match. Okay, the other game was England 1, defeated Ecuador 0. And look, when this man, the questions get asked about him, there's one player that stands up for England. That's where's the number 7 and the captain's armband? David Beckham. What a free kick, and what a player.
Yeah, for sure. He just steps up every time they need it, and he's done it a few times now. I think qualifying a few years ago.
Yeah, for the World Cup against Greece at Old Trafford.
Hit a free kick, and this time again he just stepped up, and things weren't going too good for England. They weren't looking the best, and he just stepped up and put it in the top corner, and away they go. 1-0. Next round they go.
That's probably going to be the thing that does get England through, is a bit of individual brilliance from either a Beckham, a Lampard, a Gerrard, maybe a Joe Cole or a Rooney. I mean, they've got individual players, and it just amazes you why England don't do better as a collective team, because, as I alluded to earlier, they've gone back to playing the long ball forward to a crouch for a knockdown and a 30-metre shot from Gerrard, when they've got these 4 or 5 players that can actually put the ball on the deck and play the game.
Oh, for sure. Well, Gerrard, you look at him at Liverpool, he just runs a show in the midfield, everything goes through him. And Cole and Lampard, when they're at Chelsea, and like we said earlier, they just go over the top of them and miss it, and hopefully a ball rebounds, something like happened with Joe Cole when he just hit a volley against Sweden. It surprises me as well, you know, and especially with Ericsson there. He's coached in Italy, and he's coached technical players in Italy, and they revert to this system, which is very surprising.
Do you think, Ange, talking about team balance, do you think that Lampard and Gerrard can play in the same midfield together? Or do you need someone like an Owen Hargreaves just sitting in deep behind them just to give that team balance?
I was discussing this during the week too with someone. I probably don't think they're the 2 similar players. They like to get forward and score goals, and probably they don't know who's to go for when they're playing together, and they probably don't get forward enough. So maybe they have to bring in an Owen Hargreaves or someone else of that calibre that scrapes and does all that hard stuff. And well, at Chelsea, Makelele does it for...
Yes, does it so well.
And then you've got Alonso that does it at Liverpool for Gerrard as well. So maybe they have to look at bringing them or shifting one of them wide, probably Gerrard out wide.
And then you look at either moving a Beckham or a Joe Cole, and they've probably been the 2 standout midfielders out of the 4 of them so
it's
far.
hard for them.
And what about the sight that we saw of Rooney losing his cool when he was pulled off in that other game that prior to the round of 16?
Oh, look, I don't think you can blame him, Angelo. I don't think it was so much discussed at Ericsson's decision. I think it was just the fact that in the heat of the battle, when he wants to do the best for himself and for the country,
he wanted to stay on.
He was disappointed at being substituted, and I don't blame... look, if a player comes off and doesn't show emotion, everyone will be going, geez, he was happy to come off. He doesn't give a flying fox about playing for his country. So I didn't have a problem with it. I think a bit of emotion in the game's good.
And I think Ericsson will be happy with that, to show that he is emotional, he's there to play for his country. Just a lot of people would bag and kill that he doesn't want to come for Australia. And then as soon as he has an argument with the ref, they'll say, oh, geez, he's passionate now. So
you can't have it both ways,
You can't have it both ways. And like you said, I think every player's disappointed when they get taken off, and some show and some don't, and he showed it. He wanted to stay out there.
And good on him for doing it.
For sure.
The other game, and the early game, or the late game, early morning, late morning, whichever you want to call it. Portugal 1 defeated Holland 0, and this was an unbelievable game, man. 4 send-offs, countless
yellows,
plenty yellow cards, and had everything. And look, I thought Portugal were probably just going to give up their 1 goal advantage to Holland in the end, but they just managed to hang on, they're through to the next round. That was unbelievable for Portugal.
Yeah, it was. And Netherlands, you know, Van Nistelrooy getting dropped and just playing with Robin and Van Persie on the right. So they had some quality players, but just couldn't break them through. And you've got to give credit to Portugal playing with. They had a player sent off in the first half as well, and playing the whole half with 10 men and then 9 men.
Yeah.
And you've got to give credit to them. They getting the win and scrapping it out.
And Nat, the goal scorer for Portugal, Maniche, he scored in the semi-finals that knocked Holland out in the last,
Oh,
the
yes.
last tournament, Euro
That's
tournament.
right, that's
So
right, exactly.
How uncanny is it that a player sort of seems to find a team that he likes to score against, comes up and he scores to knock him out in this tournament as well? It had everything this morning's game, or Tuesday morning's, Monday morning's game, whatever day it is. But as we see now, that means that Germany go on to play Argentina in the next round, which is the quarterfinals, and England play Portugal. Portugal, with having Deco sent off, Cristiano Ronaldo looked like he severely injured a hip, and Costanzo, I think it was, the other player sent off for Portugal. So they're going to have a tough game of it against England. But having said that, you've still got Lewis Figure, who might be brought up on video charges through FIFA with a headbutt. So maybe not all is looking so good for Portugal. Okay, we'll take a break there. That's everything involving the World Cup that's brought you up to date with that. When we come back, we'll look at Adelaide United, and Andrew's got a few things that he'd like to discuss there. You're watching Full On Football.
Bianco Building Supplies have been providing quality goods and specialised services to the building industry since 1977. Their staff pride themselves in providing total quality customer service. Whether you require machinery, building supplies, drainage, structural reinforcing steel, or hiring of portable on-site buildings, Bianco's friendly and dedicated staff are only too happy to meet your requirements. And if it's safety products you're after, Bianco Safety have an extensive range to choose from. Their safety van can come direct to you, fit out and supply all your safety needs for your work site. Visit www.bianco.com.au to have a look at their fantastic range of products. Bianco, #1 for all your building and safety supplies.
Welcome back to Full On Football. It's now time to turn our attention to all matters Adelaide United. And first off, I'd like to kick off by saying that the co-vice captains, Michael Valkanis and Ange here, went and visited the Newland ward that cares for babies, children and adolescents who require complex surgery in various medical areas, including orthopaedics, neurosurgery and burns. So that was on June the 8th. And Ange must have put a lot of smiles on some kids' faces. Yeah,
it is. It's fantastic to get out there. We've been out there a couple of times now, and it's pretty heartbreaking to go out there and see kids like that, especially being a father myself. And it's just good to go out there and put smiles on their face. But the good thing about Adelaide United this year, I think every week a couple of players go out to each different ward, and that's a good thing we've done this year, and it's fantastic to get involved with the hospital out there.
It is a fantastic thing that you're doing. You're not only getting out to the community, but you're getting these kids, you're giving them a bit of company while they're in hospital, and it's great. You know, it's sort of like, rather than having their own families there all the time, it's somebody different. It's a sportsman. It gives you a higher profile, and all credit to you guys. I reckon it's great. Absolutely.
I think Ange knocked it on the head, Nat. It really does bring these guys back down to earth. When whether you're a family father or not, it really does warm the cockles of your heart, doesn't it? And it's just to see how these kids are battling, and just to put a smile on their face, whether it be for 5 minutes or an hour, it just does wonders for them. So,
sure.
So good
I mean,
on the boys for doing it.
Nobody wants to see a child in pain or having to put up with any sort of disease or any heartache or hardship or with their health. So it is a great thing that you guys are doing, and fantastic to Adelaide United.
And the players enjoy it too, going out there and getting into the community. And we're doing a lot more promotion this year. I think last year Cozzy told the club he didn't want to do too much because he just wanted to concentrate on because we've been away with the game for so long, 18 months without playing. He just wanted the players to concentrate on playing. Whereas this year he said, no, now we've got to get out there. And we probably distanced ourselves a little bit from the people, which is probably not the right thing to do, but we had to do it just to get our football back on track. And this year we're getting out there. You know, everyone's going. There's a couple of schools a week and hospitals, and there's all different promotions going on, which is good. And you've got to give credit to the club there.
And especially with World Cup being on, I know the kids love you coming out to schools.
Yeah, for sure. And I haven't done any this week. I went last week, and the kids just love it. You know, they know who Harry Cool is and now Tim Cahill and Aloisi and Madukas, whereas a few weeks ago they probably wouldn't have known. and that's a good thing. And then they know Adelaide United as well. That's getting out there as well, and they know that, and that's the best thing about it.
I was just going to say, Angelo, I was at my kids' school today, and they had a big health promotion day, and I went and played soccer out in the Oval with them, and they were calling Eloise's name and Kill's name, and like you go back, I was going to say 5 or 10 years ago, but you go back probably 2 or 3 years ago, and it was exactly. So it is tremendous to see. Now we mentioned that Angie's back into pre-season training, and we'll have a look at your pre-season cup draw that should be coming up on the screen. And look, it's not long before you kick off.
Yeah, well, it's 16th of July it is, so it's only a few weeks away, and we start playing next week. We're playing Galaxy, I think, in a friendly, and then the week after that we're playing the state team. So it's back into it now. I know it's a few weeks away, and then I think we're going to try and use the cup more as getting more games into us during the cup, because we get 6 or 7 cup games, so that's going to be mainly our friendly games, but we're going to be out there to win it as well.
Yeah, but obviously you can try different things. And I noticed here, Ange, that the Adelaide public or the South Australian public doesn't get a chance to see you till Friday the 4th of August, and that will be a home fixture against New Zealand Knights. Yeah, so we play them. That'll be our first game, but in the meantime we're doing a bit of travelling. We're going to Tasmania, Launceston, and then to Orange in New South Wales, which is about 3 hours out of Sydney, and then to Perth. We were supposed to play in Bunbury, which is a couple of hours out of Perth, but they're playing at Dorrien Gardens now, so 3 away games and then rack up a few frequent flyer points and then back home. But it's good to get away, you know. We haven't been away yet as a team, and so that's the best things about it. That was Cosy was pretty happy we get our first 3 games away. We can go away as a team and it's a good team bonding.
Yeah, it is. You get to start mixing with a few players and just going to bed early.
And you being able to get up to your old tricks of...
No, not now. I'm a father now, so
I don't mean in that respect. I mean you being as the comedian and joke person.
No, that's all rumours and lies.
All rumours? No, it's
a lot of innuendo
not.
There.
No, definitely not.
Okay, Nat, one of the pre-season games that Ange did mention is against the FFSA Best Super League team.
Yes, it is.
So would you like to tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yes, and we have the almighty, one of the great South Australian footballers, Bugsy Nichols, as coach, who's etched his own football game in history, both in South Australia and for Australia. And he'll be joined by... we did read this out last week, but there have been some changes to the teams, to the actual makeup of the team, so we'll just go through it again. Adelaide City, we've got Ben Moore, Paul Pezos, Adam Osman, Adriano Pellegrino, Nick Budin, and an addition there, George Toner. So there's going to be a very strong backline there. We'll see how the Adelaide United guys try to get past them. And then we have with the Raiders Steve DiGiovanello, which is a new addition to the team there. Metro Stars, we have Ivan Karlovic, Lee Robertson and Daniel Godley. Now, you were mentioning him last week. Why on earth wasn't he in the team?
Coincidence.
And see, there you go. They listen to what you say and they put him in.
You're joking, are you, Nat?
Yes, I am.
Bugs is probably watching the show.
And and then we've got, from Galaxy, we've got Adam Carter, Paul Karatevlis and Costas Salapasidis, another new entry there, which will be interesting to the lineup of the team. From Campbelltown, we have Paul Savio, Dominic Signorello and Nathan Fleetwood. That stayed the same. Cumberland, Shane Thompson, the fantastic player there from Cumberland. Could have probably also put in Harkness there. That would have been a nice addition from Cumberland as well. Blue Eagles, we got Michael Peroni, fantastic player again. Another one who is one of the best players in the state. White City, we've got Chad Bagija and Olympic Saranti Perizos, and omitted to injuries.
We had Dwayne Gray on about 3 weeks ago, and he was saying that he didn't really want any of his players involved in the match. And quite coincidentally, this week, the first 2 names that I read on the injured list, Matt Kelly and Russell Waller, both from the Modbury Jets, who play Metro Stars on a Friday night 2 days after this game.
I think they copped some bad injuries there during the week.
Is my glass half empty or half full, Nat? Am I reading too much into that?
About 4 weeks away, so they're not going to be playing during the week.
No.
They've sent them out injured
had a very hard
and you probably think Louis Brain probably could have made it.
Yeah, maybe Louis Brain as well. And Matosevic and Menakella, Daniel Menakella, the other 2 named on the injured list already. So
I think with Matt and Russell, I think Dwayne was out there at training and he actually hacked both of them. So
he kicked him himself. Now we'll have a look at Red Nose Day coming up, which is on Friday, June the 30th. Be a superhero this year by supporting Red Nose Day. So for all your information, go to www.rednoseday.com.au or you can phone the hotline 1300 308 307, and I'm sure that Adelaide United will be doing something for this particular day. And
Yeah, for sure.
we've got some information on Red Nose Day involving Michael Valkanis.
Rudolph's got a red nose as well, but yeah, Michael Valkanis is the ambassador for Red Nose Day, so he's going to be there, and probably a lot of the team will be there out there that day. But very surprising how Michael fitted one of those on his big nose. So we'll just have to see how he gets it on.
That looks like the kettle corn, the pot black there.
I know, it is a little bit. And also, back to this game, the proceeds go to the Coral Barclay Centre for Hearing Impaired.
That's right.
with the FSA.
So I think that is a gold
charity
coin
match.
donation.
Yes,
and
that
it's
is.
a 7 o'clock kick-off Wednesday, the 12th of July at the Martin Sports Complex. So get out there and support a very good coach.
It's Friday, Red Nose Day. So.
Yes, and I just wanted to say about Red Nose Day that over the past 14 years, SIDS and kids have been instrumental in reducing the infant mortality rate by 84%. Now, as parents, we're all parents here, that's fantastic to hear. My mother was a person who had an infant die many, many years ago, 40 years ago. They did not know why she died, but she was found dead in her cot, and I would dare say it was because of something like this that they knew nothing about. There's many things that you can purchase. You can get superhero bears, and the bear's called Russ. I think it should have been called Fernando. And you can get them for $7, a ballpoint pen for $5, a Diamante lapel pin for $5. So if you don't want to wear a red nose, you can get any of these things. And also one of those, you know, the bracelets, like nice bracelets, those rubberised bracelets that are around at the moment. They've got those as well for $3, as well as the traditional red nose.
Socceroos one.
Yes, they're just like that, but they're red nose, and the red nose, which is $2. So donations are tax deductible. It's all going to award towards the SIDS and Kids organisation, so please get behind it and let's help them along with the fantastic work that they've already done anyway.
Certainly will. And we will now turn our attention to the Adelaide United Football Club and FFSA Cup Round 3 Cup matches, which are to be played on Saturday the 1st of July. I'll quickly run through these. Metro Stars are at home to Campbelltown, a big clash there. Adelaide Olympic versus Modbury at Thebarton Oval. White City Woodville versus Port Pirie. Adelaide Blue Eagles versus Salisbury, that's at the Martin Sports Complex. Adelaide City are at home on the Friday night, the 30th of June, to Para Hills. And you remember, going back to the pre-season Area Cup, Para Hills gave Adelaide City a good run for their money, so that should be an interesting contest.
Two top teams in both leagues,
Yes,
so that'll be interesting. I think
yes.
I will definitely be going to have a look at that one.
Might be having a look myself, Nat. Playford City versus the Western Strikers out at Ramsey Park, Elizabeth West, and Cumberland United versus the Adelaide Cobras at Baylor Reserve. And the other fixture that has regretfully been forfeited by Elizabeth Downs, they were due to take on Adelaide Galaxy. Now, we're led to believe that on the Saturday they were supposed to play Galaxy, and on the Sunday they were supposed to be playing USC Lion. Now, I'm led to believe that Lion won't change the fixture, therefore Elizabeth Downs have had to pull out out of the cup competition. Now, for me, that is an absolute disgrace. I don't care if you've got to play it wherever you can play it some other time, but in this day and age, when clubs are trying to better themselves, come up against a Super League outfit like Adelaide Galaxy. I've seen a couple of weeks ago when Metro played Galaxy, there was actually like people there from Elizabeth Downs scouting to see what it was that they were going to have to do to beat Galaxy. Now, in this day and age, I just can't believe that there's some way these fixtures couldn't be arranged so they could have continued to play in the Cup.
Let me say that in no uncertain terms that Elizabeth Downs are extremely disappointed that they were not able to take part in this match. And you have to look at things that, the amateurs were included into this competition this year, I don't know, to prove a point or just to have an inclusive factor, and now they've had to settle for this sort of pulling out, basically, forfeiting. So very disappointing, and I hope that that will never come up again in the future.
It's disappointing for the Downs, because like you said, they were looking forward to it. They've got a few good ex-Super League players, and they probably would have given the Adelaide Galaxy a good run for their money as well, but unfortunately not to do. But they should have played, and they probably would have beaten Lion on the Sunday as well. So.
Add a bit more fire to the fuel, Ange, you reckon? Yeah. Okay, that's all the Adelaide United Cup matches. Ange would like to mention a Adelaide United Football Club membership drive that you got going.
Before I go, that's the new membership tickets with Ross on the front. The tickets are now on sale for everyone. It was for the members until last week, but up until today, now everyone can buy a ticket to the LA United. So get out there. The tickets are reasonably good value. They've put a family ticket in now, which is good, and so that's good for the family. So everyone get on board and get your ticket.
I think that's great that they've actually put in an option to buy a family ticket, because you know, quite often there's quite a lot of families that do go, and you get good value for money in that respect. Also, before we go, we must also mention that during the holidays, Adelaide United have got school holiday clinics in the eastern area at Athelston Recreation Reserve on Tuesday, July the 11th at 1 p.m. Western Clinic at John Hunt Reserve down there at Port Lion Ground, Wednesday, July the 12th at 1 p.m. Southern Clinic is Tuesday, July the 18th at 2 p.m. That's down at O'Sullivan's Beach, Panthers Ground, and that's got specialist goalkeeper training. And then the Northern Clinic, Wednesday, July the 19th at 2 p.m, Carbeathan Park, which is Gawler's home ground. And please get onto your Adelaide United website, which is www.adelaideunited.com.au, and register, because registration closed Monday, 3rd of July. So that's next Monday. You've got to get in quickly. Places are limited, as you would understand. Kids will snap this up straight away to be able to be...
And all the players will be out there too, taking the sessions as well. So
definitely, and it's only $20 per participant, and it's geared at boys and girls aged 9 to 12 years old.
So get out there and get involved with that, and as Nat said, they're going to get snapped up very, very quickly. Okay, Ange, thanks for coming in to Full On Football. I know you've got other commitments, so you've got to shoot away, but we appreciate you coming in. All the best for the pre-season and then the season proper, and hopefully we'll see you back in here next time, hopefully as A-League champions.
Thank you. Thanks for good to be here.
Cheers, mate.
Great shows you're doing for the community as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Ange. Okay, we'll take a break here on Full On Football. Port Road Sports Store. If it's football gear you want, come into Port Road Sports Store, your football specialist store. Official outlet for all Adelaide United merchandise. Stocking football brands like Umbro, Mida, Lotto, Kelme and Roosh. Come in and see their extensive range of sporting goods and equipment. Port Road Sports Store, 142 Port Road, Hindmarsh, proudly supporting football since 1982. Welcome back to Full On Football. Well, it's now time to turn our attention to the Women's League, and with us we're very fortunate to have the CEO of the Women's League, the SAWSA League, Wendy Carter. Wendy, welcome to Full On Football.
Good evening.
I'd imagine as a CEO you're always busy. What have you been up to?
Basically, we're trying to get all our state teams organised. They go away to the national championships in July. We've got our under-14s and 15s and 17s going away, so that's taken a lot of time. Of course, organising the leagues. And they're getting to very interesting stages.
Definitely, we've been talking about the cup games. There's been some very exciting results and matches going on in there, and coming back towards the business end of the season now regarding cup matches.
We certainly are, and Kelme has come on board as a major sponsor for the Premier Division Cup, which is really good. And but by the looks of it, it's going to be the top 4 teams that are on the top in the league that are going to be there at the semi-final stage, and I think the games on the weekend proved how exciting that's going to be.
So Wendy, will that be like the first versus fourth, second versus three semi-finals, or how's the structure going to work? And will you still have whoever finishes on top, will they be declared the champions, or is it the cup, whoever wins the semi-final and then consequently the final, that'll be determined the champions?
With the league, it's as whoever finishes top, but this year we actually introduced something different with the cup. We actually went similar to a European Cup type structure, in that we put them in groups, and 4 in one and 5 in the other, and the top 2 from each group will go into the semi-finals, and say for instance Group A, the winner of Group A will play the runners-up of Group B, and vice versa. So
good stuff.
There's going to be some very good games coming up.
Definitely.
Okay, I think we might have a look at the Premier League results for round 10, please, Matt.
I'd love to. And this first game we're looking at was, we said it was going to be an absolute blinder, and it was. And Fulham have done it again. They've come over the top of Adelaide City 2-1 and have made their way to the top of the ladder with that result. So, you know, fantastic to Fulham. They were 3rd or 4th place going back a few weeks ago, and they've, to their credit, they've really dug in hard and come up with a great win.
We were only talking about last week that if Adelaide City got the 3 points, then that was probably going to be the premiership wrapped up from them, wasn't it? But Fulham United dug deep and
got
the points. Must have been the talk we had with Max Primero earlier on in the season.
Well, he doesn't have much to do with the ladies anymore, and they've got other coaches there now. But no, fantastic. Fulham is a very, very strong club for women and for young girls. If you ever wanted to go to a club, Fulham's a great club to go to. Looking at the other results, we had Adelaide Olympic and Para Hills drawing 3-3, which is, another goal feast there. Campbelltown defeating Gawler 2-1, and Cumberland and Metro another 3-3 draw there. So, another tough match for them.
Entertainment for the crowd, isn't it?
Definitely. Sturt Marion, of course, had the bye in the round 10.
And Wendy, if we have a look at the table, would you like to run through the table for us?
Basically, as you said, I think the game against Fulham United and Adelaide City, if Adelaide City came out on top with that, I think bar them losing a great deal of form, they would have actually probably gone away with the league. But I still think the top three, Fulham, Adelaide City, Metro, is still wide open. I don't think Cumberland did any favours for Metro on the weekend with that 3-3 draw. I think it's also worth mentioning Para Hills got their very first points in the first division.
Yes.
I think that's an indication that they are improving as a club, but also an indication Adelaide Olympics started the season off on fire basically, and looked like they could actually shake the division up, but unfortunately they've had a huge amount of injuries, but they also are looking like they're going to recruit a very good player, a Matilda in fact, so stay tuned with that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Very
not
good.
an ex-player?
She's not from South Australia,
Okay.
so she's
Yes,
been in
that'd
the
be big
Matildas for many years.
Hopefully you
World
break
Cups and Olympic
hopefully you
Games.
break the name on Full On Football, Wendy. We'd appreciate that. Okay, I think we'll go through the league table. Fulham United are out on top on 22 points, albeit goal difference from Adelaide City. Metro United have 19 points, Cumberland 15, Gawler 10, Sturt Marion on 9, Adelaide Olympic 8, Campbelltown 4, and as Wendy quite rightly mentioned, Para Hills gaining their first point on the weekend. So congratulations to the girls out at Para Hills.
Yeah, congratulations, Para Hills. And let's look at the fixtures for round 11. We've got Fulham taking on Adelaide Olympic at Collins Reserve, Gawler taking on Cumberland United at Gawler's home ground, Carbeathan Reserve, absolutely beautiful home ground down there. Para Hills are taking on Campbelltown at the Paddocks. Sturt Marion are back in this week and they're taking on Adelaide City, so that's an almighty game for them down at the Marion Sports Complex. And Metro United has the bye, so they have to sit back and watch this week, unfortunately. And just a reminder that all games, both Premier League and Division 1, do start at 12 o'clock.
No, they don't.
They don't?
No, they don't.
Well, that's what it says on the website.
Unfortunately, the website's incorrect and we're having huge difficulties with it. But if they contact their local clubs, they'll be able to actually tell them. They do vary in kick-off times.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we can't structure it so all the Premiers and all the Division 1 kick off at the same time. That's just ground availability and working around the men's and the juniors. So
Okay.
Okay, well, we apologise for advertising that it starts at 12, but it doesn't. So contact your local club to find out what time the ladies are playing.
Wendy, just one question I did want to ask you. Some weeks we do get some results that are yet to be determined, if that's the correct terminology. Can you explain to us why, when we're trying to give the results, that some of them either haven't been completed or there is a little bit of conjecture as to the final outcome? Just so the listeners know what's going on.
Basically, we rely on clubs to actually forward us the information, and more times than not, especially with our Premier Division, they come in and there's no problems. Sometimes they don't always come in on time. Sometimes games have been postponed. So there's a couple of reasons to why we don't always get the results. And to be honest, sometimes clubs are just lazy.
So by the time that we go to air, we do take the show Monday night. So by the time we go to air, sometimes we can get the results in and sometimes we can't. So if your team's one of those that's been mentioned, and we've had a little bit of a laugh at it sometimes about the, still to be determined, that's the reasoning why. So thanks, Wendy, for clearing that up. Okay, I think we'll turn our attentions now to the Asian Football Confederation's Women's Championship to be played at Highmarsh Stadium on the 16th to the 30th of July. And Wendy, this is showing up. I'm actually going to go down and have a look at a couple of these games. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's going to be some really outstanding games here.
This is huge. I mean, we haven't had the Matildas in Adelaide since 2000. And the calibre of teams that are coming, keeping in mind this is a really big test for Australia as well, in terms of this is the very first Asian competition they've had since joining the Asian Confederation. So this is, we're all on display with this one, right across Asia, to make sure that we put on a really good event. And for the Matildas, it's about qualifying for the 2007 World Cup.
That's right.
And we've been promoting it, Wendy, as an event that if we don't get out and promote it this time, then we're probably going to have Buckley's chances of getting something like this back to little old Adelaide again. So it's imperative that people do come out and support it, and not just say, oh yeah, it's nice to have it. Get off your bums and go and have a look at a game.
Oh, look, I couldn't agree more with you. Women's soccer in general should be flying. I mean, you look at how many girls and that are playing at schools. Now, one of our hurdles is actually getting it out there in the media. It's a women's sport, and women's sports generally don't pick up the same media attention. But it's up to our clubs, it's up to the administrators to make sure that we really promote this. And people don't just sit there and think, oh yeah, maybe it's too cold, maybe it's too wet. Get down there and have a look, because you're going to see some really first-class teams out here.
Yes, definitely.
And look, the cost of going is minimal. For 2 games, for the round robin games, $5, nothing for children. Look, it'd be criminal not to come along to this.
It definitely would, and let's have a look at that. We've got the pool matches, which Wendy mentioned, are double headers, only $5 per adult, and the children are free. So, I mean, you can take the whole family there, basically pay $10 for mum and dad to go and watch, and the kids are going to have a ball watching some of these fantastic teams come out. For the semi-final, again, double headers. The adults are $15, a concession, and children $7.50, or you can have a family ticket for $20. Again, very affordable. It's cheaper than the AFL football. You can go out there and you get to see 2 matches, not 1. And for the final, which is again a double header, because you see the top 2 teams play off, as well as the 3rd and 4th position. Again, adults are 20, concession and children are 10, and the family, which is 2 adults and 2 children, is $30. I mean, that's just so affordable these days.
It certainly is.
And it's something that's new. We're in the Asian Confederation. You get to see the Matildas. You get to see some of these other great teams like Japan and China and Korea Republic. It would be a shame not to come and see it. It would be a shame not to support South Australian football, and it would be a shame not to basically get behind it and show what South Australians are capable of doing, and that's putting on a good show.
Now, Wendy, some of these matches are going to be played at Highmarsh Stadium and Martin Sports Complex.
Yeah, all of them at bar 2 are going to be played at Highmarsh Stadium, which personally I think that's where they should be played. I mean, that's the home of soccer in South Australia. The only 2 that are being played at Martin are the 23rd of July and the 24th of July. So again, all this information is available on the South Australian Women's Soccer Association website, the Football Federation SA website. So mammoth amount of information. People just need to get on there and have a look.
And if you want to book your tickets as soon as possible, you can log on to VenueTix, so that's www.venutix.com.au. Wendy, as I don't know if you're able to, but is there some way that maybe you're able to give the show to be able to give some free tickets out to the viewers? So maybe we can do a quiz or a promotion or something leading up to these games, and just try and get a few more bums on seats, because quite often what you find is if you can give 1 free ticket away, then someone's got to bring someone to pay a ticket as well, and then you get 2 bums on the seat for the price of 1, really.
Right. I know that the Football Federation of Australia and the major events who are actually coordinating all this are actually looking at what they can do to promote the event, and they're now finalising. As you would imagine, they're probably holding off until after the World Cup, because all attention is on the Socceroos.
And rightly so.
And a lot of the personnel are away, and I've been in contact with Stuart Hodge, who's the communications manager and media manager over there, and he's also reiterated that quite a few people are away, and they are waiting for that, and then they can, get full on.
Full on Asian Cup.
Definitely.
So, Wendy, is there any other information that you'd like to give out?
No, the only thing I would say is really, again, reiterate what you've said about the Asian Games, because this is really a great opportunity to see world-class soccer, and I'll just say soccer because that's what it's about. And teams like China, who have been at World Cup finals, the Korean teams, and more importantly, the Matildas will be here. So get along and really support the local player in Dialogich, who will be here, and let's continue where the Socceroos are.
And we can get to see the legend Cheryl Salisbury as well, who's an awesome sight. Just her presence on the pitch is unbelievable, and it's a great way. I mean, always when you get to see someone, you get to meet someone, you always got a better understanding of what it's all about. So come on, South Australia, get behind this.
The only one thing I will say is, as I said, FFA are looking at doing some promotional work, and we are looking at running some clinics using the Matildas. That is actually being finalised probably in the next couple of days. So as soon as I have that information, I'll forward it on to you.
Yes, please do.
We'll be holding some clinics where people can get along, meet the Matildas, and
fantastic.
And maybe over this this 2-week period of the tournament, we might be able to see if we can get a Matilda in each of the weeks that the tournament's running as well.
We'll
I think
either
that'd be a
try
good
and get
idea.
one in, or we'll try and do an interview down
Yes,
there.
down at
High
the ground
March,
there
so
or
it'd be
something.
great, yeah.
Wendy, thanks for coming on to Full On
Thank
Football. We enjoyed the chat we had with you last time, and certainly again this time. Okay, that's Wendy Carter from the SAWSA, the CEO of SAWSA. Just remember, support that Asian Confederation Cup tournament, 16th to the 30th of July. You're watching Full On Football.
Parkdale's a different place since we got the Bendigo Bank here. This strip is 3 times as busy and none of the shops are vacant anymore. And because the profits are ploughed back into our community, we're really seeing the benefits. Banking with the Bendigo paid for this community bus. So if your community wants a bank, there's only one bank you need to know. You need to know the Bendigo.
Welcome back to Full On Football. It's time now to turn our attention to the Amateur League segment, and we've got 2 special guests in today. We've got Craig Castellino and Luke Rowley from St Peter's Old Collegians. Welcome to Full On Football, guys.
Thanks very much.
How you going, boys?
Now, look, we ventured out on Saturday and had a look at how you guys play, and I have to say, first off, apart from the game, which I found very enjoyable and very entertaining, the surrounds of St Peter's College for you to have, you know, an awesome place to play. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, we're pretty blessed to have a place like that to play soccer. So it's pretty much a joy to come out every season and play on a pitch like that.
As we were saying before, you don't make any mistakes. It's your fault. When you play at a billiard table, you know, it's really your responsibility to get things right. So,
yeah, it just really caught me by surprise as I got out the car and had a look, and I thought, this is just wonderful. Just before you ask your question, Mike, 25 years the club's been in existence, and you've been there for quite a while now, Luke, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been playing since about 1989. The club first played in the Collegiate League in about 1992, came up into the South Australian Amateur League, and was up in First Division, then was relegated shortly thereafter, and has been in First Division since then, and we've won a couple of times, and we're on top at the moment, so that's pretty good.
And you were saying to me that you've played around about 320 games.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Well, it's a couple.
And they still want you there. That's
Well, yeah. I don't think I'll go away. That's the problem.
No, that's fantastic as a player to get that many games under your belt, and that's all for the same club, is it?
All for the same club. Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's a credit to you, Luke.
Oh no, it's
fantastic.
It's a pretty great bunch of people there. It's pretty easy to club to play at when you've got great mates that you play with. I think that's probably what keeps me coming back every year. Pretty blessed. I haven't had many injuries either, so.
Well, you have to go like the Greeks do to make sure that do that.
I didn't want to spit in your eye, though. That's the problem. So.
That's fine.
Now, Craig, you've just moved to Adelaide from interstate through your employment. How did you become involved with St Peter's?
just actually, my wife actually looked up on the internet. I hadn't played for a long, long time, and she said, you know, need to get in the community, and I didn't really think my body was ready for this actually at my age, but I joined out, and as Luke said, it's a very good bunch of blokes, and well, with them supporting you and all that was just great fun. And this year, as we've seen, winning is always a good thing, obviously, you know, and that helps the camaraderie of the team. And the team not only plays together, we catch up afterwards for a drink, and like tonight with Australia playing, you know, we're all getting together after training, which we're missing out, which is fantastic. But yeah, so it's just a great bunch of blokes, I think.
And you're a striker, so I can relate to you.
Yeah.
How have you settled in the goal scoring department?
Really,
you're holding your own?
Yeah, well, so far I'd say, you know, I'm holding my own.
Like every striker.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think with our coach, he plays a much more attacking lineup with a cheating midfielder, and like with the way I play with, like, you know, holding the ball up well, and I've got a young fella who's a very skillful lad, Danny Wadira, next door to me, and the boys just lay it up, and we've got wing backs that come through, and you know, just the whole way we play is a much more attacking game. But I've got to say about the comp too, like every week is a challenging game. It's such a close knit competition, you know, and anyone can beat anyone, so you've got to be on your game every week.
I think it's like the First Division of Sunday these days, which has a lot of retired Premier League and State League players from previous years, so it's pretty competitive and a good skill level from that perspective.
Good stuff.
Well, I have to say that going out to some of these matches, I'm pleasantly surprised that the quality, the standard and the pace of the game is very, very high, very enjoyable, very entertaining football to watch. And I just wanted to say that with the team that you're up against, Gleeson, they're only in their second year as a club.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, only in their second year, so they've done very well actually,
Absolutely.
and they really did push you in the first half. They did. They came out with the first goal in the lead quickly.
Like any.
Do you want to lead into that one?
Like any competition, it's difficult when teams are struggling a little bit and you're doing quite well, and it's difficult to mentally, I think, continue to have the same level of.
You're not dodging the first goal question, are you?
That wasn't the first one. That wasn't me.
Twinkle towing his way around.
I was solely responsible for the second goal. I and Tyson Vickery missed it.
I've got to say though, that I think that team, I think the oldest player in their side's 25,
Yes,
Yeah.
and they just kept going all day, and they've got some quality players, and I think a few of their backs just a little bit of lapse of just in the game where it let them down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Inexperience, I think.
Exactly.
Definitely, definitely. And also you lost your goalkeeper after the first goal. Now he's apparently 43 years old.
Yeah, but he's sensational. Like, he is a quality goalkeeper, and like there was one game.
He used to play for West Adelaide and has played a lot of.
Who is it?
Brian Gale.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian. Yeah, I think if it's the same Brian Gale, I started out.
Yes.
He was the goalkeeper at Salisbury in
Yep.
1986, I reckon it was.
Yes, yeah, that would be him.
So, yeah. Oh, right, okay. He was a jeweller, I think, back in the day.
I'm not sure what he does now, but he's absolute quality goalkeeper and
Good
very,
bloke as well.
Excellent.
terrific
Tell him I
fellow.
said
So
hello
what's
when
the
he-
injury? What's he got? What
Calf
happened?
strain.
Calf strain. Oh, okay. Well,
Probably
that was a
about
real
age
shame
of-
to see him have to come out.
Well, it was odd how it happened straight after the goal occurred.
It was funny. We were playing a game where he was actually. It was Bozer actually. He came out at us, and 20 minutes they were literally relentless, and just quality football for 20 minutes. And we weathered the storm. But if it wasn't for him, 3 highest level saves that you could possibly imagine kept us in the game, and that's what did it. Man of the match effort. One-on-ones with players that were good strikers, and he was stopping them. And that's those kind of efforts of one player helped the whole season.
Well, we always talk about that. Having a great goalkeeper gives the rest of the team great confidence because you know that you can always rely on them, and it's fantastic to have a good.
But I always say, Nat, that the strikers are there to pull the defenders out the Scheisenhausen. Okay, we'll have a look at the
On that note,
results
let's go to the
for
results.
round 10. Sterling 5 defeated Bozza 2. Comets 0 were defeated by Adelaide Uni 2. St Peter's 4 defeated Gleeson 2 after a bit of mix-up at the back. Modbury Jets 1 had a draw with a Cove 1. I'm only joking. Old Ignatians 4 defeated Sturt 3. And we have a look at the table, please, Nat?
Yeah, sure. We've got St Peter's just going streets ahead out on top with 9 wins and a draw.
Just look at the goals against there, Mark Hewitt.
Yes.
Yes,
Very good point made there, Luke. Only 7 goals against.
Yeah,
because
26-4.
they've got a great keeper, you see, and on 28 points. And Stirling are coming up behind them. They're on 24, so you're still not in the clear there. They've
Sterling, Bosa and Cove are all pretty strong sides.
definitely. Bosa's is on 19 and Cove's on 17. Then we've got Adelaide Uni on 16, Sturt 14 with Old Ignatians on 14, Gleeson on 7, Modbury Jets on 4 and Comets without a point.
And Craig, would you like to go through the Saturday Division 2 results for round 10, please? Just in front of you here.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Flinders Uni 2, Adelaide Uni Black 0, Adelaide Uni 1, Adelaide Warriors 2. Is this our?
You can read it like an ABC
I was going to
radio
say, should I put
commentator.
Les's moment? Today on the World Game, we have Monarchs 2, Handorf 1, Torrens Valley MA Hawks 4,
Gryphons.
4, Griffins
Griffins.
4, Strawharben 3, Cougars 5, Breakers 3.
Cougars.
Never even heard of
Cougars?
those.
For
Cougars.
South Australians, that was Strathalbyn.
Yes,
Anyway.
that's okay. No,
New
it's
South
not
Wales.
Wales,
Sorry.
but he done
So I
he
come
done
from New
well.
South Wales. I'm sorry.
And Michael's happy that Cougars got the 5
Yes,
there.
I'm
against
I'm a
Breakers.
Cougar fan, with the 6 Cougars thing.
Yes,
So
I'm
we
don't
always
you love
make
that?
reference to
Yeah,
the Cougars. That I don't like the product, but I don't mind the advert.
Good advertising there.
And would you like to go through the table, please, Luke, for Saturday Division 2?
Sure,
round 10?
Adelaide Wanderers are on top on 28 points, Griffins second with 27, Flinders University are third with 22, Monarchs are fourth on 19, Cougars, there you go, fifth on 18,
You beauty.
MA Hawks and Strathalbyn and Adelaide Uni are 13 points each, Breakers and Adelaide Uni Blacks are 7 points, and Torrens Valley are on 5.
And we'll go straight on to the Sunday Div 1 results for round 10. We had Para Hills West 0, AV Metro 3, good win for Metro, so that keeps them going up the ladder. Elizabeth Downs 10, Royal Park 0. Unfortunately, Royal Park struggling, but you know, good on you guys. You're still there every week and you front up, and that's what it's all about. Elizabeth Vale 3, USC Lion went down 0. So come on, Lions, you're not roaring there.
It's going to be a big game next week with the Downs, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it just? It's going to be rivalry there, definitely. We've got Parafield Gardens 3, Florina 0, NAB 2 and Salisbury Inter 8. And that was a good win for Salisbury Inter because they really needed that to maintain their position on the middle of the table. And do you want to have a look at the table there?
Yes, the table after round 10, Elizabeth Downs on top with 27, 6-point gap from the Vale. Parafield Gardens, Metro and Para Hills West all on 19 points, Salisbury Inter on 16, USC Lion on 12, Florina on 9, NAB on 4 and Royal Park on the 1 point. Sunday Division 2, the results for round 10, Para Hills East 2, Fulham 0, West Beach 4, Macedonia 1, Limnos 0, Modbury Vista 0, Ingle Farm 4, the Pumas 3, Bosna 0 and the Southern Knights 1. And I did actually happen to venture to Para Hills East to watch that game, and it was quite an entertaining game actually. I took my young fella up, and I've got a mate that plays up there, so I went and had a look at him. And 2-0 scoreline, but Fulham were in the game for pretty much most of the day. It was just probably the last 15 minutes where Para Hills got their first goal, and then right towards the end of the game they managed to knock the second one in and put the result beyond down. But it was an entertaining game.
So that was top V8.
Yes, but it was like I said, it was still an entertaining game, and I didn't know the league positions before the game, but it definitely wasn't a top versus 8th clash, that's for sure.
Okay, well let's have a look at that table. We've got Para Hills up on top on 22, Ingle Farm and Modbury Vista on 19, West Beach on 18, Southern Knights and Limnos on 13. Macedonia, I want to say hello to my friend Joe McGregor there that used to play for USC Lion, is with Macedonia. They're on 12 points, Fulham on 11, Pumas 9 and Bosna 5. And we need to get straight into the fixtures because we're running out of time.
Okay, Craig, can you give us the rundown for Saturday Division 1, please?
Sturt versus Stirling, which will be a very competitive game. Stirling needs to win to stay in the hunt. Boza versus Cove, I think they're almost out of it now with being about 9 points behind. Modbury Jets versus St Peters, we need to hold that game so we stay on top of the league. Gleeson versus Comets, who cares? And Adelaide Uni against Old...
Go Gleeson.
No, I'm joking.
And Luke, can you give us the next round's fixture, please?
Sure. Saturday Division 2 fixtures for round 11 are Adelaide Uni against Flinders University, Cougars versus Strathalbyn, Griffins against MA Hawks, Torrens Valley versus Harndorf, Adelaide Wanderers versus Monarchs, Breakers versus Adelaide Uni Blacks.
And Sunday Division 1, Para Hills West versus NAB, AV Metro are home to Parafield Gardens, Florina versus Elizabeth Vale, USC Lion are at home to Elizabeth Downs in the big clash there. I think that'll be an absolute humdinger. Royal Park versus Salisbury Inter, and remembering that those games kick off at 3 o'clock.
And Sunday Division 2 for round 11 we have Bosna up against Para Hills East, Southern Knights at home to Ingle Farm, Pumas are taking on Limnos, Modbury Vista are up against West Beach at home, and Fulham United are at home to Macedonia.
Okay, so that is the amateurs wrapped up. Just remember, proudly brought to you by Bendigo Bank. If you need any more information on the amateurs, please log on to their website www.saasl.com.au, and they will keep you up to date with everything that's in the amateurs.
And just before we go, another pleasant surprise I got was when I walked up to the game and saw who the coach was, and it was my good friend Dave Baker. I have not seen him for over 20 years when he used to play for USC Lion in the Federation, and it was great to see him still involved with the game, and his son plays apparently. His son plays for the team?
Yes, son plays sweeper, so I think that maybe that second goal might have been his But look, he's come to the club, this is the first year he's been at the club. We've had other coaches previously, and it's been great having Dave there. First time we've had a Premier League coach come and coach us. He takes it pretty seriously, which is good.
Lovely to see his face after all these years. So.
Good stuff. Well, Luke and Craig, thanks for hanging around and coming on.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All the best
so
for the rest of the future and the rest of the season. So it looks like with the billiard table you've got out there to play, I'm not surprised you're squarely on top of the table. But all the best, and you're running for the championship.
Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That was Luke and Craig from the St Peters Old Collegians. Okay, when we come back, we'll have Nat's Bits and Pieces. You're watching Full On Football.
Marco Polo Foods SA are importers and wholesalers of gourmet and continental products. They are the sole distributors of the famous Radenska iced teas, free from preservatives and caffeine, and stock all Podravka products, specialising in Vegeta gourmet stocks, spreads and soups. Marco Polo Foods is a family-run business which pride themselves with a large variety of imported and local products that are stocked at leading stores such as Drake Foodland, Woolworths, Gourmet Butchers, selected IGA stores and continental stores. Drop in and see Adam or Corinne Tronconi at 438 Torrens Road, Kilkenny, or ring them on 8345 3792. Marco Polo, fine foods from across the sea. It's that time of the show where we look at Volunteer of the Month, and as you would all know by now what the whole point of the Volunteer of the Month is about, and that's to nominate the people that work within your club as volunteers. I said last week I still want to see some from the amateur leagues and women leagues, and I would actually like to see some coming in because I know there's great people that work out there and do some fantastic jobs. So to do that, to volunteer, to nominate a volunteer in your club, just email their name and some information on what they do to Volunteer of the Month, ADAMNA at optusnet.com.au, and you could win a beautiful basket of goodies from Marco Polo Foods, who kindly donated that basket to us.
And this is the last week, Nat, for
this is the last week,
the whole of June, and the winner will be announced next week in the first week of July. So
that's right.
Please get your the nominations in for your Volunteer of the Month, because it is for a worthwhile cause.
Yes, it is, and we thank those people that have nominated, but we do want more because these people need to be acknowledged for the work that they do.
Okay, we'll be back after the break with more on Full On Football. Port Road Sports Store. If it's football gear you want, come into Port Road Sports Store, your football specialist store. Official outlet for all Adelaide United merchandise. Stocking football brands like Umbro, Mida, Lotto, Kelme and Roosh. Come in and see their extensive range of sporting goods and equipment. Port Road Sports Store, 142 Port Road, Hindmarsh, proudly supporting football since 1982.
Welcome back to Full On Football. It's time now to look at the Heroes of the Socceroos competition that we've been running for the last few weeks. Beautiful set of all the medallions of the Socceroos, proudly sponsored by the Advertiser and Sunday Mail, kindly donated by that organisation to Full On Football. And last week we did have the question, who is the top goal scorer for the Socceroos? And that was in the first two games only. And apparently we had a little bit of trouble of people trying to get through on our server through the email. And so what we've decided to do is we've decided to extend this week's competition for a further week. So those people that did try to get through are able to. And so again, the same question, who is the top goal scorer for the Socceroos? And that was for the first two games only. And I don't think it's changed anyway, has it? No. Okay, and we would like you to send your answer into Heroes of the Socceroos, ADAMNA at optusnet.com.au, and please don't forget to include your name and contact number so we can contact you if we pull your name out of the hat.
Okay, now have you got a few bits and pieces you'd like to run through for us?
Are we going to do that now, are we?
Yes, I think we will.
Okay, well, look, basically, really, all I wanted to do was to say, remember Red Nose Day on Friday, get behind it. It's for a great cause. It's to stop sudden infant death syndrome and to help, little kids, and we need to get behind that because they've done a great job so far. So get your red noses and your bangles and all, and your teddy bears and everything else. And things are available actually from Coles. I know Coles stock them, and I would say Target.
Most of the major outlets, news agencies, shopping centres, supermarkets, shopping centres, someone will have it. So if you really want to get one, you'll find one somewhere.
Yeah, Adelaide United is behind it, so we want to get behind it as well. Also, if you want to email anything to us, any news about what's happening within your club or something that you know about a player, etc., please do so on ADAMNA at optusnet.com.au, or you can write to us at Full On Football, PO Box 319, Henley Beach 5022. And I think it's be time now to thank our sponsors.
Yes, we've got Bendigo Bank, we've got Port Road Sports. Who else we've got? We've got Bianco's, Bianco Building Supplies, who proudly sponsor us.
Yep,
we've got
sure have.
Coca-Cola, Heath at Coca-Cola,
Yes.
Marco Polo Foods, the Clovercrest photo shop out there at Clovercrest, who have kindly done the mugs for us. So if you need anything like that on your mugs or your plates or anything of that type of nature for souvenirs, go out and see him out there at the Clovercrest photo shop.
Yeah, it'd be great. Also Marco Polo Foods, and also we do need to thank our cameramen Frank and Andrew, who do go out every week and voluntarily film the games, and we thank them very much for that.
And just before we do go now, I just wanted to, seeing it's World Cup month, if you like, just wanted to give you a couple of little footnotes, if I may, tidbits.
Yes.
The only two teams to have ever won back-to-back World Cups, Italy in 34 and 38, Brazil in 58 and 62. And if Brazil win this tournament, it'll be 2002, 2006. And just talking on Brazilians, Ronaldo, with his 2 goals in the tournament so far, has equalled the all-time leading goal scorers in World Cup finals with 14 goals. He equals the great German Gerd Müller. So congratulations to Ronaldo, and I think he may just have a chance in the next 1 or 2 games of actually passing that and going out right on his own. So great achievement there from Ronaldo. He's been a legend striker for Brazil over a good many a year.
It'd be good to have some positive promotion instead of all the fat jokes that he's been having about him and his body and his football.
Still looks all right though, doesn't he?
He's a magnificent footballer, there's no doubt about it. Also, it was the week that we saw 3 yellow cards given to one player in one match.
That was dead set unbelievable. Okay, we'd like to thank Craig Castellino and Luke Rowley from the St Peter's Old Collegian Soccer Club for coming in. Excuse me. Wendy Carter, the CEO of the Women's League. We had Angelo Costanzo, the Adelaide United vice-captain and star player there. And Nat, thank you for coming in. Another tremendous job.
Thank you for fronting up again this week. We couldn't have done it without you.
Okay, thanks to everyone that was involved in the show tonight. And remember, don't run on empty, get full on football. See you next week.
Here we go.